जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जनाय यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जनाय Panchatattva ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So that was the prayer which we do usually before we start any discussion regarding Krishna. So today we'll be discussing from Bhagavad Gita. But before our discussion, just as we sung the prayer now we'll be reciting another prayer, which is the last 3 lines on the board which you see. We'll be reciting each sentence one after the other. So it's the same prayer, but we'll be reciting 3 times. Right. Jai Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Okay, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 2 and text number 46. Will it be possible to distribute the Gitas, bro?
Ask you a question.
Yep.
Can you give me an English translation of this?
Of course, yeah. So, do you want the translation of this song or the
whole thing?
The whole thing, right. So, the song which we recited there is nothing but different names of Krishna. So, all the words which you see in that song are different names of Krishna. So, the first word which you see there is Jaya Radha Madhava. That's one name of Krishna. So, the first line has 2 names of Krishna. So, if you see the first line, the first name of Krishna is Jaya Radha Madhava. In the sense, Jai means we are appreciating Lord. We are saying, let there be victory to God, And Radha means is the eternal consort of God, whom you see next to Krishna always. And then Madhava is the name of Krishna, which refers to Krishna as the husband of the goddess of fortune. So that's one name of Krishna as Jai Radha Madhava. And the other name of Krishna which you see is Kunja Bihari. So Kunja means bushes. So Krishna is a village boy. Krishna did all his pastimes, mostly the childhood pastimes, in the village of Vrindavan. So in Vrindavan, Krishna performed so many pastimes within the bushes of Vrindavan. So here, the word Kunja means bushes, and Bihari means one who performs his pastimes within the bushes of Vrindavan. So that's why Krishna is celebrated as Kunja Bihari. And there, in the second line, again you see 2 names of Krishna. One is Gopi Jana Vallabha and the other is Girivaradhari. So the word Gopi Jana Vallabha means one who is loved by all the gopis of Vrindavan. Gopis are the cowherd damsels, cowherd girls of Vrindavan. So Krishna is the beloved of all the cowherd girls in Vrindavan. And Girivaradhari in the sense, when Krishna was 7 years old, there was a huge storm in Vrindavan, very big calamity. And in order to protect the whole village and all the residents of the village, Krishna lifted a big mountain or a hill called Govardhan. So in Sanskrit, a hill is called Giri. So Giri Varadhari means one who has lifted the hill in order to protect the residents of Vrindavan. So Krishna is called as Giri Varadhari. And we covered the first 2 lines. So, and the third line is Yashoda Nandana and Rajajana Ranjana. So these are again 2 words. Yashoda Nandana means the mother of Krishna is Yashoda. So Krishna always likes to be called by being associated with his devotees. So Krishna likes himself to be called, or Krishna likes his names when it is associated with devotees. He doesn't. His name is Krishna, but he he feels more pleasure when he's called, when his name is associated with a devotee. So here, Yashoda, who is the mother of Krishna, is also a devotee of Krishna. So Krishna likes himself to be called as the son of Yashoda. So that's one name of Krishna. And the other name is Brajajana Ranjana, in the sense, one who enchants the residents of Vraja. Vraja is nothing but a group of villages, out of which Vrindavan is one. And all these villages are auspicious, where Krishna has performed all his pastimes. So Vraja is like that region where Krishna performed all his pastimes. So one who enchants all the residents of Vraja is called Vraja Jana Ranjana. And so we covered all the 3 lines now. So the final line is left, which is Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Krishna, so in this region of Vraja, which you see, a river flows through it, and that river is Yamuna. So Krishna, just as Krishna performed his pastimes everywhere within this land of Vraja, he also performed many pastimes on the bank of the river called Yamuna. So that's why it's called Yamuna. It's just one complete word actually. Yamuna Tira Vanachari, one who performed his pastimes on the bank of the river called Yamuna. So that's where he's called as Yamuna Tira Vanachari. So this whole song is names of Krishna and where we are remembering the pastimes of Krishna. So which is like a good meditation before we discuss anything about Krishna. That's why we sing this song before we start any discussion on our philosophy.
And the Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So these are like the invocation prayers which we recite before we start reading any scriptures or start discussing anything from the Vedic scriptures. So those 3 lines, they are taken from the scriptures. So what they refer to is, it means I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Vasudeva. So Krishna, Vasudeva is again another name of Krishna which is associated with his devotee. So Krishna is known as the son of Vasudeva. So that's why he is called as Vasudeva. So here we are praying to the Lord Vasudeva, who is none other than Krishna. So before we read any scriptures. So these are like the kind of meditations which we keep before we start discussing anything about Krishna. So thanks for asking. Yeah. So now as we have sung this nice kirtan and also recited the invocation prayers, now let's prepare ourselves to discuss the philosophy of Krishna. So today we'll be discussing from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 2 and text number 46. It's not 46. What is it? No, it's text number 44 actually. It's page number 130. Did everyone get the verse? Yeah. So it's text number 40, which is below the purport of the previous verse. So first I'll recite each word of this verse, which you can follow in the word-to-word translations, and then we'll recite one complete sentence. In this way, we can together recite this verse. So please repeat after me. Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahrita Chetasam Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi Samadhav Na Vidhiyate. So now we'll recite the complete sentence of the verse. Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Pahrita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhav Na Vidhiyate. So I'll recite 2 more lines. Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Pahrita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Would anyone of the devotees like to recite? Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Anyone else like to recite? Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Any ladies? Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Alright. So now we'll go through the word-to-word translations of all these words. So these verses are in Sanskrit. So now we need English translation to understand what these verses mean. So that's why the word translations are provided, and as well as translation, and then the meaning to the translation is given as purport to this verse. So now let's go to the word-to-word translations. Please repeat after me. Bhoga, to material enjoyment. Aishwarya, and opulence. Prasaktanam, for those who are attached. Taya, by such things. Apahrita chetasam, bewildered in mind. Vyavasaya atmika, fixed in determination. Buddhi, devotional service to the Lord. Samadho, in a controlled mind. Na, never. Vidhiyate, does take place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Please repeat after me. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Right. So now I'll read out the purport. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says Samyak adhiyate asmin atma tattva yathatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in sense enjoyment, nor for those who are bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. Right. I'll recite the invocation prayers before we start discussing about this verse. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Tate Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guror Shri Yatav Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Savanarughanathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, I welcome again everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, before we begin our discussion, I would just like to give an introduction of what is Bhagavad Gita, the book on which we are discussing today. So, 5,000 years ago, there was a great battle in India, in a place called Kurukshetra. And the battle was between two parties, the one who are supporting the religious principles and the one who are against the religious principles. So Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, God, he was also present in the battlefield, and guess what? He is obviously on the side in which was supporting the religious principles. And this war was to establish the religious principles on the point that who will be the next king of the kingdom. And the king need not be an ordinary king, but a religious king. So in that battlefield, so Krishna was not fighting, but he was the chariot driver of his friend and his devotee known as Arjuna. So if you see the cover page of this book, you find two people. So the one who is in blue color is Krishna, the Supreme Lord, who is driving the chariot of the person who is sitting behind, who is Arjuna, the warrior. So they are fighting on the side of religion, but this fighting was not between, although there were two parties, but the two parties were known to each other. They all belonged to the same family. So Arjuna, who is sitting behind in the chariot, who is preparing himself to fight the war, he is bewildered when he saw the other side, because he has to fight against his own family. So it is said that the greatest battles are fought with one's own family. So he was bewildered, that now he has to fight against the same grandfather, the same cousins, the same friends whom he had lived throughout his life. And why? To re-establish the principles of religion. So when he was bewildered, Krishna, who is Supreme Lord, he was instructing Arjuna and helping him to come out of that bewilderment. And that discussion is recorded in this book, which is known as Bhagavad Gita. So the name in itself suggests that Bhagavad Gita means that which is spoken by God or Krishna. So here the word Bhagavad Gita is a composition of two words. Actually it's a compound word, so which is a composition of two words, which means the word Bhagavad means Bhagavan, comes from the word Bhagavan, which means God. And the word Gita means the song. So whenever God speaks, it's very poetic, it's very nice to hear. It's like a song. So that's why this whole conversation, which is known as Bhagavad Gita, is said as Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. And this song is very instructive, very informative. It's the topmost knowledge. So this Bhagavad Gita, one may question, okay, we know the whole scenario in which it was spoken. So what is its subject matter? So Bhagavad Gita mainly has 5 subject matters. So this whole discussion which has been spoken between these two people consists of 5 subject matters. One is Ishvara, which means God, and the second is Jiva, which refers to living entities like all of us. And the third is Kala, which means time, and the fourth is Prakriti, which means material nature, and the fifth and the last one is Karma, which means fruitive activities or activities. So the whole subject matter of Bhagavad Gita revolves around these 5 subject matters. So today's verse is also somehow linked to one of the subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. So if you see the translation of this verse, we see that it is written, "In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place." So here this is a verse which is following a certain context. So here we are in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So if you see the 1st chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you'll hear that all the descriptions of Arjuna the warrior who was sitting behind Krishna, and his condition of how he was bewildered by seeing the opposite party, and what are his psychophysical natures and everything. And in the beginning of the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we come across where he surrenders himself to Krishna, the Supreme Lord, and he surrenders as a disciple, and then Krishna, the Supreme Lord, starts instructing Arjuna to bring him out of his bewilderment. So one of the first instructions given to Arjuna was, he is not this body, but he is the spirit soul. So if we see the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita, one of the subject matter is about the living entities. So first instruction which Krishna gives to Arjuna is that he is not his body. So why is he lamenting for those who he considers as his relatives or friends? All the relations in this material world are based on our body. We consider ourselves to be this body, and based on this body we develop relationships. We consider some person as our mother and father just because they gave us the birth into this material world, and whoever is attached to that body, we identify themselves in relation to the body as brother, sister, friend, wife, whatever. So the first instruction which Krishna gives to Arjuna is, you're not this body, but you are that person who is within the body. And if you come to this understanding, then you need not lament, because though there is destruction for the body dies at certain point, but the soul doesn't die. So there is no point for you to lament over the destruction of your body. So even despite they being your relatives, friends, and so ever, fighting against them doesn't mean that you're killing them. You're just killing their material bodies. But as souls, we are all eternal. So that's the first instruction given to Arjuna. And at any cost, he has to perform his duty as a warrior to fight for justice. And then, after giving him the instructions, Krishna, in this chapter, where the instructions keep following, he instructs about how one should perform one's duty. So the performance of our duties is called karma. So this karma has a word originating from Sanskrit, and it's now well known all throughout the world. It's a very popular word now. So I think most of you have heard the word karma even before coming here and hearing it here. So we have. So what's the actual definition which we get from Bhagavad Gita on karma? So in the Bhagavad Gita, we get that the definition of karma is the action which pertains or which results in the development of the next body is called karma, or the activities in general. Whatever activities which we perform is called karma. So whatever activities we perform, generally activities have some result, you perform some activity and you get something in return, and that is on a material platform. But in a spiritual platform, we see that activities gives rise to two kinds of results. One is either a pious result or an impious result. So those pious results which we get are the activities which we do. By doing so we get pious results, we call them as pious activities. And the activities by performing which we get impious results, we call them as sinful activities. Right? So both these pious activities and impious activities, they both bind us to this material world. So here the context is Krishna is instructing Arjuna to perform his activities. So Arjuna, as a warrior, his karma or his activity is to fight the war and to re-establish justice or the principles of religion. So here, he has to act, but how he has to act is being explained in this series of verses. So if we see from the verse number 39 of this chapter, Krishna instructs Arjuna that, I'll just read out the translation, you all can follow along, it's in page number 123. So Krishna explains Arjuna that thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you free yourself from the bondage of works. So here Krishna in this verse is explaining that so far, till the verse number 39, Krishna has analytically explained this knowledge, in the sense he explained Arjuna that you need not lament, you're not this body, you're the spirit soul, and there's no destruction to the body, and there's no destruction to the soul, although there's destruction to the body. Right? So Krishna has explained all these things to Arjuna. So now he's explaining Arjuna how to act. So here he's saying that now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you free yourself from the bondage of works. So when we think of activities, we get pious result and we get impious result. Okay, we can analyze or we can understand that impious activity binds us to sinful result for which we will suffer in hell. But it is a bit strange that we also say that even pious result binds us and makes us stay in this material world. So although from general point of view, pious activities are much better than impious activities or sinful activities, but pious activities also bind us to this world. So we need to act in such a way that we rise above the pious and impious activities, so that we can go to Krishna or the abode of Krishna, where there are no results to one activities. There is no pious result or impious result. when we do impious activities, we get impious result, a sinful result, for which we go to hell and we suffer. But after going to hell, again we are brought to this world again, where we are again given an opportunity to work. And suppose if we are engaged in pious activities, and what we get is, we get a pious result, for which we go to the heavenly planets, we enjoy the results of our pious activities. Then what happens is we again come down to this world again to act. So this is like a Ferris wheel, it's like, you either go down by your impious activities and again come up, or sometimes do pious activities, you go up, again you come down. So by hook or crook, you have to come back again to this world again to act. So this is how both the pious and impious activities bind us to this material world. But our aim of life is to get out of this cycle of pious and impious activities, this cycle of repeated birth and death, so that we need not go down, come up, go up, come down, but find a solution from this cycle of, going from up to down, down to up, down to up to down. So that is only possible when we go to a world where we need not again come down. That world is called spiritual world, or the planet where Krishna stays. So that is a planet where by going we need not come down again. So, and we can only go to that world when we act in such a way that that action does not give us any pious result or an impious result. Just imagine, if it gives a pious result, we again have to go to the heavenly planets and again come down. If it gives an impious result, we again get to go down to the hellish planets and again come to this world and again act. But are there any activities which don't give either a pious result or an impious result? So that discussion is being explained from these verses. So if I just read out the translation again, now I think things tend to make sense. So, thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. In the sense, we are working in such a way that we won't get any fruitive results. In the sense, we neither get pious result nor get impious results. And what is the result of such actions? Is, O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. So, whatever results which bind us to this material world, we become free from that result and we go back home, back to Godhead, back to the world of Krishna. So, that's the context of this discussion. So, now we see in the next verse, the verse following this verse, or the verse number 40. So, what is that kind of work, and what is the result of such kind of work? So Krishna explains that if you work without any fruitive results, the thing is, in that endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this part can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So whatever work we do, which doesn't bind us to this material world, which doesn't give any fruitive results, in such kind of work, there is no loss or diminution. And even a little bit advancement in that path or in that kind of work can save us from the most dangerous type of fear. Okay, so this discussion is still vague, It's like we are still using the word activities which do not give any fruitive results. But what are those activities that we haven't discussed yet? So I'll probably touch that here. So those kind of activities which do not give any fruitive result, those activities we call them as bhakti or devotional service. So the activities, or what is devotional service? Devotional service means engaging ourselves in the service of Krishna. So what all activities, even what we have done now, at least till now. So before we started the program, we were all singing. So we were all singing Hare Krishna mantra, which is the glorification of Krishna. So that is a form of engaging in devotional service, which does not give us any fruitive result. And while we were singing, we were also hearing what we were singing. So that is also purifying. And this hearing activity is also frees us from these results of our activities. And now what I am doing is nothing but I am describing the glories of the philosophy of Krishna, so which is also devotional service. And what you all are doing by hearing what I am speaking, it is not because I am speaking, but what I am speaking is important. So by hearing this is also a part of devotional service. And after our discussion, we'll have worship, which is a devotional service, and after that we'll have a sumptuous feast where we'll take food which is offered to Krishna, and taking that food which is offered to Krishna is also devotional service. So devotional service, or in other words, the activities which free us from the results of fruitive activities, or which free us from bondage, is not difficult. It's very easy, and we've already been doing it, and it's very easy to perform. So these are the activities which do not give any kind of fruitive results and which free us from this material world. And in these activities, as Krishna is explaining in this verse, there is no loss or diminution. I mean, whatever little thing we are doing, whether it be hearing, or whether it be chanting, or singing, or participating, or even honoring food which is offered to Krishna, there is no loss or diminution. Everything is taken into consideration, everything is taken into account, and everything helps us advance on this path of devotional service. So that's what is Krishna is explaining, that there's no loss. One need not worry that, oh, I'm not doing a lot of service to Krishna, but I'm just doing a little bit of service. But even that little bit of service matters too. So that's what Krishna is. It's a type of assurance that, that you need not worry that you're doing some or a little bit or more or a lot, but there's no, diminution or loss in this path. And it can protect us from the most dangerous type of fear. What is that most dangerous type of fear? We all have so many fears in our life. But the most dangerous type of fear, which every one of us will encounter and which is inevitable, is death. So this knowledge or these activities can save us from the most dangerous type of fear. And then we'll go a bit quicker because we need to cover everything in our limited span of time. The knowledge of Krishna is unlimited, but the time is limited, so we have to cover unlimited in a limited sphere of time. So in the next verse, Krishna says, so this is the 41st verse, those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So now it's those who are engaging in devotional service. Their aim is resolute, and they're resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. So they're very determined in whatever activities they're doing. So these are like the symptoms of those who are engaged in devotional service or bhakti. They are very resolute in their purpose. They know what they're doing, and they know what's their aim. But those who are not, for those who are, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So remember the word resolute. We'll touch this word again during a part of this discussion. So now one may question why the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched, So that is explained in the next verses, from the 42 to 43, and then we'll cover today's verse. So the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. So regarding that, it is explained in the 42nd and 43rd verses that men of small intelligence are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Okay, so what we are discussing here is, we are touching this point now, that why they are irresolute. Now, as till now, what we discussed is we have discussed that acting without any fruitive results. So what happens? Who acts for fruitive results, and what is their aim? That is being explained in this verse. And it again relates to the to those who are irresolute. So how it relates to those who are irresolute we'll know now. So now let's think, okay, what about those who are working with fruitive results? Here Krishna explains them as men of or people of small intelligence or small knowledge. And what is their symptom? It is, or attachment we can say, is they're attached to the words of the Vedas. Vedas means knowledge. So the Vedas, they give knowledge about so many subject matters, or and these subject matters can be related to those of fruitive activities, or those related to knowledge, or those related to yoga system, and so on. So here those who are of small intelligence, they are attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities. So they are attached to the Vedas so that they can perform certain fruitive activities. And what is the result of performing such fruitive activities is they can again be elevated to the heavenly planets, and they can get a good birth, power, and so forth. But we have already discussed that the result of fruitive activities is that we either get a pious result or an impious result, and the pious result takes us to the heavenly planets, and then again we come down. That's how we get bound. So, but for those who are working with fruitive activities, it is their motivation to go to the heavenly planets, and that is their motivation or aim, and good birth, power, and so on. So what happens by this attachment or by such a desire is, they develop a desire for sense gratification and opulent life, and they think that there is nothing more than this. Life is meant for enjoyment and nothing more than that. That's the conception for many people, so they think that there is nothing more than enjoyment, so they fall into this illusion. And then comes today's verse. So today's verse is the 44th verse, which we discussed, which is, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, their resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So by performing fruitive activities, by being desirous of sense enjoyment and material opulence, what happens is we become bewildered by such thing, and we think that there's nothing more than this, And by maintaining such a conception, what happens is this conception is the cause of the irresolution in devotional service. That's how the mind becomes disturbed, and we cannot focus on our spiritual life. So I'll just touch the purport to the verse which we discussed today. I'll just read it out because it's short, Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says Samyak adhiyate asmin atma tattva yathatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in Samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment, nor for those who are bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. So here the word Samadhi has been highlighted in the purport. So Samadhi is like a stage of yoga. It's the topmost stage of yoga. So when we say bhakti, it means bhakti yoga. So what is yoga? Yoga means, Bhagavad Gita speaks about yoga. So what is yoga? Yoga means linking ourselves with Krishna or God. That's the standard definition of yoga. There could be many other definitions to the word yoga, but the actual definition to yoga is that which links us with the divine or Krishna or God, And there are various types of yoga systems. Now, this acting with fruitive results is also a kind of yoga, and acting without fruitive results is also yoga. So this yoga which deals with fruitive activities or the results which we get from our activities is called karma yoga. And the activities which deal with knowledge or the yoga which deals with knowledge is called gnana yoga, or the yoga of knowledge, and the yoga which deals with our engagement of body and how we can control our body, increase our lifespan and so on, that's called hatha yoga or dhyana yoga. But amongst all these yoga systems, the topmost yoga system is bhakti yoga system, and that is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita several times. The essence of all the yoga systems is to link ourselves with Krishna, and that process is only possible when we engage ourselves in the service of Krishna. So here samadhi, the yoga system or the hatha yoga system, which involves eightfold processes, of which prana, there are eightfold processes, which I won't go in detail because we are running out of time. So the eightfold yoga system is called yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana and samadhi. So out of this eightfold yoga system, the topmost stage is called samadhi, where a person is completely absorbed, and absorbed, yes, he is absorbed, but absorbed on what? He is absorbed in meditation of the Supreme Lord. So this kind of meditation is not possible when a person is too much engrossed in sense enjoyment and material opulence. So that's what it is said here in the purport. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. And samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment, nor for those who are bewildered by such temporary things. So what's the essence of today's discussion? So today we understood that there is activity, we need to work, but how we need to work, that we discussed throughout the course of this discussion. We need to act in such a way that the actions don't bind us to this material world. The actions don't give us any pious or impious results, but give us a result by which we'll be purified, that which makes us resolute in our devotional service. And activities in devotional service do not bind us to this material world. They do not give any fruitive results. And the reason why, and such activities make us resolute in our purpose, but why we become irresolute in the path of devotional service is because of too much engrossment in sense enjoyment and material opulence. So that's today's discussion. So I think we are already running out of time. We crossed the time. But if there are any quick questions or comments or reflections, they are welcome. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So, any questions? Yes, Prabhu.
You were mentioning earlier on about how this process saves one from fear. You were saying that the fear of death, although death is inevitable anyway. I think elsewhere Prabhupada says that also a great fear is the fear of attaining the animal species in the next life. One of the great sources of knowledge in Krishna consciousness is about the process of transmigration or reincarnation. And a lot of people are maybe under the impression that when you leave this body, automatically you're going to get the human body again, but that's not true necessarily. Yeah. It depends what you've done in this life. Prabhupada says if you act like a human being and you engage in some kind of process of self-realization, you may expect a human body, but if you act like an animal, just simply eating, sleeping, mating and defending in a very extreme way, then you may get an animal body in the next life. So, which is a great source of suffering.
Exactly.
Krishna consciousness can also, it can guarantee you a human body in the next life.
Yeah, and I think that relates to what we discussed today. I mean, yeah, of course it relates. That there is no loss or diminution on this part, and we are at least certain that we get a human body in our next life. So, thank you very much, for your comment.
Can I ask then, the population is becoming bigger and bigger of humans, and I don't think people are that good that there will be so many humans. I mean, why aren't there less and less humans? Because most of us are awful, aren't we?
Yeah.
Guess we're mating too much.
Huh?
Guess we're mating too much.
well, well, the population cycle goes ups and down. So actually, Prabhupada used to say that overpopulation is never a problem in this world. The earth is so abundant with resources that it can feed 10 times the population. But the problem is the way we distribute the resources, that we make majority of the resources available to certain group of people. Just imagine, a person who is rich, he can buy, if there are 10 bags of rice, a person who is rich can buy 10, if there are 10 people and there are 10 bags of rice, a person who is rich can buy all the 10 bags, and then there is poverty. 9 people are foodless or do not have anything to eat. So the distribution of resources is a problem. Overpopulation is never a problem. The population was always more or less. It keeps fluctuating. But I mean, at least we see from the Vedic times where the population was much more than what it is now, there was never a problem of scarcity of resources. Right. Hope that makes sense. Prabhu?
Is there any example in the scriptures wherein someone attended Golok Dham
Mhm.
from heavenly planet?
From heavenly planets.
Yeah.
Well, one thing is, it's not possible. The whole discussion today is based on that point, that it's not possible to attain spiritual world from heavenly planets. The reason is, actually, that's the thing which I wanted to read today, actually, but because of less time I couldn't touch that thing. It's because in the heavenly planets, the problem is there's too much of sense enjoyment, and this sense enjoyment doesn't allow us to perform devotional service. It is exactly what we have discussed today, that in the minds of those who are too much attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, the heavenly planets are filled with sense enjoyment and material opulence. So that's not the right atmosphere to perform devotional service. So there is no scope that one can elevate oneself to the spiritual world from heavenly planets, because the atmosphere in itself, there is a problem in atmosphere in itself. So there's a difference between this atmosphere and the atmosphere outside, right? When people come to a temple, the atmosphere is suitable so that everything makes one Krishna conscious. But as soon as one walks out of the temple, the whole atmosphere is such a way that it's very difficult to be Krishna conscious. So similarly, the heavenly planets are such a way that the atmosphere is alluring for sense enjoyment but not for devotional service. So maybe there may be some exceptional personalities, but I haven't heard any. Yes, Prabhu.
The higher planets like Brahmaloka and Satyaloka, that's where the yogis attain, and they have the facility to go back to the spiritual world. But as you say, in general, the lower heavenly planets, which most people aspire for, the predominant mood there is one of material enjoyment.
Yep.
And therefore they don't have a specific desire to go back to the spiritual world.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. And thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
So humans, I understand that humans, like the fact that we're born into a human body
Mm-hmm.
means that we are like divine beings, right?
Right.
Because like we're not animals, we're human, right?
Mm.
So if you're an animal, then how do you get into a human body?
Well, the first thing we need to understand is we are not humans even. So we are that which is within this human body. That is soul. So the soul transmigrates from one body to another body. So it is like the elevation of, or we say transmigration. So the soul passes from the lower species to the higher species, and in the human beings come under the category of higher species. So suppose the soul passes from a let's say, from a dog's body to a lion's body. So lion is like a higher category of animals. So when it transmigrates from all the animals' bodies, then it comes to the human body, where the consciousness is more developed, and the consciousness is suitable to make advancement in spiritual life. In animal bodies, the consciousness is not developed, so we can't perform spiritual activities. So the important thing we need to understand is we are not human, but we are within the human body. Right? That hope that answers. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
In a modern world, is killing acceptable, even if your friends, family, or relatives?
Well, no killing is acceptable unless you're assigned to, or it's your profession to do so. Not a profession like a terrorist or any such thing, but as a military man or any such thing, where that's your job. But killing is usually unacceptable when we get some reaction for our actions. So it's unacceptable, straightforward. Okay, any more questions or final thoughts before we move on to the next part of the program? Right, so thank you very much for patiently listening, and hope to see you in the next part of the program. Okay. Jai. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, we request everyone to stand up now. We'll be doing the arati.